Hey folks, John with Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. So I had a customer that brought in an old Surface Pro, one of the original Microsoft Surface Pros, and the thing was completely destroyed, wouldn't come on at all, there was no power to it, but he had data on it that he needed to get off. So I thought, what a great opportunity to test a product, and we're going to settle a lifelong question that has plagued the internet forever. What is that question? Let's see what you think. Be right back. Okay guys, so what we've got is, this is one of the very first generation Microsoft Surface Pros, and apparently this thing had been skittered out of a car and then run over again, and had just destroyed the entire front of this thing. The back of it was all bent and everything else. But this client has pictures on it. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe we can get into this thing, we can find out what kind of drive is in it, and then just maybe be able to recover the data off of that. Well, here's the kicker, and I'm going to try to show Stumpy this. Now, this is the main board out of the Surface Pro. There's nothing more to a Surface Pro than this board. That's it. The only thing that's not on here right now, as you can see, the processors are right here, and I'll show Stumpy too, is there was one copper cooling system that was in here, and it's actually mounted up on the wall right there. Other than that, that's all there is to this system. Here's the trick. If you flip this over, there is the SATA drive. Now, this is not as easy as just plugging it into a regular SATA drive. In fact, when I first got this, I thought maybe it was an early M.2 drive, but it is not. If you pull this out, you're going to see that this is actually an MSata, which does not fit into a standard SATA drive. So what I did is, I picked up one of these little universal external USB 3.0 to MSata adapters. And I thought we might actually give this a shot and see if it actually works, how well it works, and if we can recover some data. And while we're getting this configured, let me tell you that question that we were talking about. So the other day I got into an interesting conversation with a guy that, you know, the old PC versus console gaming. I know, this is a lifelong thing that we're never actually going to answer, but let's see, you're going to take this out, guys. Up comes with one of the little cheesy little screwdrivers, and there is the adapter. All right, so there's no instructions, so I'm assuming we just do install that in there. We're going to go ahead and pull it apart. But at any rate, he was talking about how, you know, that consoles were the way to go. It was the wave of the future, and that I had to get with the times and move forward and all that. Well, you know, you guys know kind of what I do. Well, a lot of you guys know me. I'm a PC gamer. I always have been. My son and my daughter are more into the consoles, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've always been, my philosophy is simple. It doesn't matter what you game on as long as you're gaming. By the way, as we continue this, guys, I want to let you know, I'm doing something different. You might notice, normally I've got my phone sitting over here, which is recording my lapel mic. But we're testing out the new stage camera over there, and I've got my lapel mic connected directly into it. And from what I can see here, it looks like it's recording, so this will be our first test to pull direct audio. Please let this work. I'm really hoping for it. So, all right, we pulled out these back two screws, and it looks like this thing slides forward. Yep, there you go. And it looks like we got a couple of these little micro screws to hold down the card. So we're going to go ahead and pull those out and set those aside. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work. I do know that this is designed for the MSata, and you guys can see that funky connection in there. All right, so let's go ahead and put that in place. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and put these screws on and lock it down. Now, of course, that's not really necessary because obviously we're just going to use it for this one drive and then take it back out again. But as you can see, it locks down in there nicely. Anyway, so getting back to the PCs. So, you know, the guy was convinced that, you know, okay, well, it's too expensive to PC game. All right, fine. Costs you a little more in the short term, but in the long run, you get a better experience, in my opinion. Not to mention the fact that, and I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that will agree with this, by the way, take the drive, once it's on there, slide it right back into the case. Not to mention that, you know, there's something rewarding about gaming on something that you built yourself with your own hands, not something that you woke up one day and just ran down to Target and bought. You know, and I like that. That's, you know, it's something really fun about firing up the computer the first time or firing up your first game and just knowing that it's only running because you did it. That's one thing. Now, granted, I will give you this, the ease of consoles. You know, that was the same argument for Apple computers back in the day, is that they were just simply easier than Windows computers. Well, consoles are simply easier than building your own PC. I agree. But there is something to be said for that experience, so I don't know. All right, so we're going to put these little screws in here, guys. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get Stumpy aimed over here at this PC I've got on the side. And we're going to, like I said, these screws didn't even have to go in there, but there you go. Pretty cool little unit. I will put the link to this in the description, but as you can see, it's a pretty basic little setup. It's not even branded, but if it works, that's all I care about. All right, so we're going to move over to the computer here, and I'm going to have Stumpy. I'm going to get Stumpy aimed at the PC. All right, there we go. Now, I don't know what is on this drive that needs to be recovered, guys, so I'm going to do my best to conceal it, assuming anything happens here. So we're going to take this and we're going to run it straight into the USB 2.0 of our machine. And as you guys heard, that did acknowledge that there's a drive there. All right, so let's go in here. And it looks like Windows. I'd be willing to bet that's it. And looky there, guys. That is actually the drive. And if you'll look at the dates on this, most of these are from 2017. They said that they had lost the data on this and they thought it was gone forever. So I'm actually going to look into the users folder. Now, I will tell you, anytime you take a Windows disk out of any PC and you take it to an external source and then plug it into another PC, you have to take ownership of the folders. And the way to do that is simply by double clicking on them. So once you double click, it'll tell you you don't have ownership, and then you will take ownership of it. Now, let's see what we've got on here. Now, I do not want to see what it says? You do not currently have permission, so you hit continue. Now, once you hit continue, the system is going to go ahead and you can actually see the bar going across here. And once it gets across to the top, it's going to give us permission to access all the data on that drive. At that point, we'll be able to go ahead and transfer it off onto a thumb drive or another external drive or whatever we want to do. In theory, what we could also do is just give them this external drive, because these are pretty darn cheap. That way they'd be able to plug it in and just take it whenever they want to, and they've got a 64 gigabyte card in there, which is pretty neat. Now, I don't know if the second, third, fourth, all the new Surface Pros actually still use these. I'm assuming they don't. My guess is they're probably M.2s, but eventually you see. And as you can see, there you go. We're going to access to all of everything, the documents. We've got the downloads folder. We got the pictures folder. That's a primary, guys. And right now I'm not going to go into those folders because of privacy. I'm sure you guys can understand that. But as you can see, we now have access to the drive through that stupid little mini thing. So pretty cool, right? I didn't know how well that was going to work because it was pretty cheap. But I know this is a short one. I'm going to link that down in the description, as well as the one that I use for my M.2 external enclosure. It's another great one also if you're transferring data off these drives. It comes in real handy. To put a capper on this PC versus console thing, once again, guys, doesn't matter what you're gaming on. If it's a PlayStation, if it's a Nintendo, if it's an Xbox, or if it's a PC, the key is just keep gaming. That's what we really need. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. I've got another longer video. We got a Trash to Treasure coming up here pretty quick that you're going to get a kick out of, because I'm reviewing a new case. And it's small. I mean, it's small. We'll see how it works. You guys know how that is. But we will talk to you again soon. Have a fantastic week and a great weekend. Oh, and one last thing before I forget. PC gaming rocks. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.